So our next speaker is another friend of the foundation. It's Nick Williams. Hi Nick. He's probably one of the best specialists when it comes to branding. He's worked for mostly all of the best denim brands they actually kind of exist. Nick's with us now. Hi Nick. You've just
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. You did an awesome talk like a few weeks ago, and I guess this is kind of like a second version of that talk for our UK students, but obviously definitely explain to them what you do. And it'd be very interesting to hear your own career path as well, because a lot of these students, you know, all change as well. So I'll leave you to it, and I'll come back to you in about 15-20 minutes. So all the best.
Okay, good stuff. Great stuff. So yeah, just to talk a little bit about my career path. I studied textile design at college, and I worked as a textile designer for a while, working in London and New York in several studios. And then I got my first job within a major brand, working for a company called Nautica in the US. And I kind of then started migrating over from print and pattern textile design more into graphic design and working on t-shirt graphics and then labeling and hang tags. And I moved back to the UK and I worked for Levi's in Brussels. Levi's used to have a European head office, and the line was separate to the American line in a similar way to how Carhartt works at the moment in the US and in Europe. They're very different brands and they have very different collections. And Levi's used to be similar to that in the early 2000s. I then worked at Puma for a couple of years, but whilst working at Levi's, I got to travel to San Francisco regularly, visiting the archive, studying a lot of the vintage pieces, because a lot of my work was working on the vintage line, which was the reproduction line, where we would create reproductions of vintage garments from the historical archive of Levi's. And then I've been running my own company for about 10 years, and I do print and pattern, branding, graphics, labeling, hang tags, t-shirt graphics, and that type of thing. And a couple of years ago, myself and my wife, we worked with the Kingpins team. They were very helpful in sponsoring this book, and we worked on a book that was all about the branding that goes behind denim brands. And we were lucky enough to travel to the States and visit the archives of Lee, Wrangler and Levi's and photograph their archives. And that's really what this book that you see here is all about, the history, but then also about the modern day brands as well and how they're branding their denim. So there's a chapter on buttons, and there's a chapter on hang tags, and there's a chapter on rivets, and there's 12 chapters in all: marketing, design, woven labels. So if anyone wants to pick that up, it's a good resource. But I was asked by Amy, who runs Denim Dudes. She'd also brought a book out called Denim Dudes, which was more of a lifestyle book about denim. And she helped me a lot, actually, when I was putting my book together with advice. And she had come up with an idea called the Denim Directory, which was a way of the mills, first of all, working with the fabrics, of communicating what they had, they wanted to talk about new to market in the last couple of years, since trade shows haven't been going on so much, and putting together like a document that is actually, all these documents are free to download. You can go onto the Denim Dudes website and you can get the trims version and the surface pattern version. But she asked me to come in and work on a trims edition. So this was working with all the companies that make the labels, the buttons, and all the other trims that go into branding denim. So they supplied us with what they wanted to talk about in the industry, their latest features, their latest things they'd been developing, and we worked together. I worked with Amy to trend this into this document that I'm going to talk through now, which, as I say, covers all the different kind of elements. couple of opening opening pages, and then we split it up into three areas. So the one I wanted to talk about the most today was the first area, which was plant-based, which was really our sort of sustainability story. So in the plant-based, one of the first things that we were looking at was about dyeing techniques, and about we discovered that these brands were using different dyeing techniques, such as vegetable waste. You'll see down here in the bottom right-hand corner, onion and beetroot being used, bio dyeing, and also like things like coffee and natural dyeing, like coffee waste and things like that being used. So this is like important that for dyeing your labels and making them look maybe vintage and stuff, and using more biodegradable and you know, planet sustainable, conscious ways of doing that. Another big trend that we found was that a lot of these leather patches, a lot of investigation had been made by these companies into using alternatives to leather. So corn, a waste material from corn was being used to like create leather-like patches. Apple skins could be made into leather patches. Also, cactus leaves have been used a lot in the footwear market to create leather-like footwear for trainers, but cactus-based. So we've got like cactus-based leather patch, pineapple skins, and also like olive oil, olive waste to produce like leather. And these like would be like, you know, proper like leather to the touch, like patches that have been made out of vegetable waste. This next slide is more talking about all natural, so cotton, using like buttons that are made out of like wood. You'll see these buttons here have been made in a special sort of way so that they are very easily taken off the garment. When you're going to recycle a denim garment after its lifespan, you're going to need to take off all of the lead before you can recycle it. You need to take off the buttons, you need to take off the patches, the woven labels. So these buttons here have been designed so you'd have two holes and they'd go in there, and you'd easily be able to like release them from the garment before recycling. Other all natural products we were looking at was like raw jute, and also like hemp papers, and using like 100% cotton stitching. This story here was again like, you know, there was some recycling like involved in some of these like woven patches, but it was more like a trend around vegetables and flowers, and like this patch in the middle has like seeds actually sewn into the patch, so you can like open that up and grow plants from it. So it was more of a story around look and design rather than like sustainability. But as well as like leather patches and other patches, we can see here like recycled materials used for rubber patches, and again using corn materials, recycled polyester used for woven labels. And this was more about the big trend around the outdoor market at the moment, and a lot of brands are collabing with, like here you see Gucci collabing with North Face to produce a collection, but really about outdoors being a big trend at the moment through design as well as materials. Another kind of recycling, upcycling idea, we see like this patch in the center that's used like offcuts of leather that have been sewn together to create a new patch. Upcycling a pair of old Levi's here on the right hand side, with like this white patch like sewn over the pair of Levi's to create like a branding for another brand. And then also recycled glass being used for buttons, and recycled yarns to make woven labels. So that was the main story I wanted to talk sort of more in depth about. But a couple of the other stories that we talked about in this document was this future retro story that is more of a kind of like looking at branding, which has much more of a tech kind of space futuristic idea around it. You've got like silicon buttons that are metal buttons that are covered in like silicon materials, and using like different materials like wool and felt and silicon to create other types of branding. Also like pop colors of like neon were really important for this season, and other space-like inspired materials through buttons and like tearproof. This like bottom right-hand corner, we've got like this tear-proof material, which is like reminiscent of kind of like spacesuits or something that would be used in a spacesuit. This like black Lux story that we had, white on white, and then like embossing and debossing and tonal story on denim. This was like a kind of like bling story using like rhinestones and like cracked leather patches that had like a silver kind of aesthetic to them. And then this story here was like more about tactile, fake hairy patches, and then buttons that had like ridges marked into them to give like different textures. And then this last story we investigated was more around archives and historical pieces and how they were influencing design. So there was like looking back at like designs from like the big three, Wrangler, Levi's and Lee, and historical archive pieces. Some more European brands, maybe like Chippy and Fiorucci and their archives, and working with like leather craft to create different types of patching. And then this was like mixing metal and leather within trims. We had an indigo craft story and a military inspired story, varsity. And then at the end of the document, each supplier that we worked with, here's a list of the suppliers that we worked with. Here, each supplier, you get a snapshot of their brand, their story, but you can click through and have a look at their websites and see the contacts. So these are the different suppliers that we worked with. I'll skip through to the end. And so if you go, as I say, to the Denim Dudes website, you can pick up, or you can scan this. I'll leave this up on screen if you want a snapshot. But on the, if you like Google Denim Dudes or like denimdudes.co and go to their website and then click on reports, you can look more in depth and check out the report. Cool, I'll stop sharing my screen.
Unbelievable. Once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to say to our students, obviously they're being sponsored by like sort of YKK. So this is a button that YKK have got. It's like it's a screw-on button. So
yeah.
They got blank ones for the students. So
right.
We're going to be making jeans in the next few weeks. YKK can help with those. And also just a little bit of inspiration, because I do this all the time. You can make a rubber stamp, guys, and print it on. It's so easy. I made a rubber stamp for like 20 quid, and I made a little Jack Rock, paper and little tag like this. So when you do with your logo for your brand, you can do lo-fi solutions for some of these things, and it's completely okay. I'm not expecting any of our students to go and spend £500 on a leather patch mold, but you can make a rubber stamp for like 20 quid. So it's the same thing. Or print it out on your printer and cut it out with like card. So lo-fi works, but it's so amazing to see all these different like things, Nick. Obviously, you're at the forefront of all of this stuff. You see all these amazing things, especially there's so much advancements in thread and packaging as well. Packaging is such a huge thing now. How we sell our products, and people are a lot more conscious of the empty boxes things are coming in. So our students definitely consider how their garments are transported now, what kind of packaging it's going to be, what story they're going to be telling. So awesome. And make sure
the students are going to be working on a collection. When's that project starting?
Started last week. The project started, and this is the second week of the project, and it's a 10-week project. So in the 10 weeks, they have to basically they're in groups of I think there's 15 groups, and they have to design a whole denim collection from scratch, including designing all the marketing, making videos,
and the branding.
Branding. So that's why we thought it would be amazing to get you to speak to them, to make them think about these things, because they're at the moment they're probably thinking about their concepts, but they need to be thinking about their branding and what story they're telling. So I really appreciate you coming on and speaking to us yet again.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
You should definitely go on the Denim Dudes website. There's past like reports. It's great information. If you want to pay money, you can, but you can download these reports for free. We're not expecting students to pay, but and you should. These are like, Nick is like an industry leader. You know, he's looking at stuff all the time. So these reports are literally updated every 6 months. So this is the latest report that only came out. What, Nick? About 2 months ago?
It came out like maybe 2 months ago or something, maybe 3 max, 2 or 3 months ago. But we're hoping it'll be like a twice yearly report going forward. So this was like a sort of fall winter version, and then hopefully we'll be doing a spring summer version in a few months from now.
We haven't got any questions, so we're going to move on. So Nick,
good stuff.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Thank you so much for your time. And we're going to thank you.